Sitting vigil. Who's with her now? Talia. I asked her to take up my chair when we heard you come through the gates, Cord said, taking her arm as casually as possible and leading her up the staircase. I've been with her almost every minute since we talked this morning. Talia and Dylan tried to take over for me a few times, but I wouldn't move. You could have, you know, Ellie whispered. Talia, McKay, and Jake Sutters had both been hired on to Hollow Point after she left, but they had grown up in Palem, and both came from respected families. They've been here long enough to be trustworthy and not put anything at risk. I know, Cord bowed his head and swept his hat off his head, but I owed it to Kay to be with her until you got here. There are some things that are only for family. Something like that. Gave her an empty smirk as they got to the door of the master bedroom on the second floor. Are you ready for this? I can go back to sitting vigil if you can't go in just yet. No. Ellie nearly choked on the word. How could she be ready? This was the woman who took her in at her tender age of 5. Kay had raised her and taught her everything she knew about the world and about her magic and about herself, and now she was gone with no warning. Ellie was back in Palem, in the house where she'd been born. It should be home, but instead, it was just a place where she hadn't been, where she hadn't been for 6 years. How could she handle witnessing the final proof? Not that she needed it at this point, that a piece of her heart was gone forever. After a moment, she nodded for him to open the door. I'm her blood. This is my job, for now at least. A large, semi-transparent black veil was hanging from the ceiling around the bed. The mix of scents hanging in the air was a sweet floral perfume, matched with the unmistakable scent of death. Talia sat with her head bowed on the chair just outside the perimeter of the veil and looked up. Her deep brown eyes were dry and despondent as she turned to see them entering the room. Miss Elvina. She approached them with a marked nod. If there's anything I can get for you. It's just Ellie, Talia, please. She wanted to insist as gently but as firmly as possible. Morning was no time to stand on ceremony in their own home. Today is my day of birth. Wait, Callie, today is your birthday? Why didn't you say your day today was your birthday, Callie? Is that what you wanted? I'm sorry, Callie. Happy birthday! Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Callie. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Callie! That's crazy, bro! I am so happy for you. Morning was no time to stand on ceremony in their own home. I know Gran cared for you. I don't have a sole claim on loss only because I'm the one that shared her blood. Of course, Miss Elvie. I'm sorry, Ellie. Talia bowed again. I'm sure you're hungry after traveling so long. I'll go now to prepare some food. Do you want me to go? Cord asked quietly. He stood in the doorway when they were left alone. I can wait outside if... No, Ellie whispered, sitting down in the vacant chair. You belong here just as much as I do. You know she loved you like a son. Yeah, she sure had a knack for taking in strays, didn't she? There's bittersweet humor in his voice. It was like he was trying to remember himself before meeting K-Rel Karras. And meeting K-Rel Karras at the old Iron Gate Saloon when he was passing through town on the way to nowhere in particular. I don't want to think of where I'd be if Kay hadn't taken me in. She cared about the rest of us plenty, but you You were her cornerstone. She loved you more than anyone. You've got to know that. She looks so small, Ellie said, her eyes falling to her where her grandmother rested for the first time since entering the room. The body on the bed was indeed only a tiny, small old woman with freshly combed black and gray hair. Years and signs of hard work etched the lines of her face and folded hands. But what Ellie could see through the veil and tears gathered in her eyes, well, could almost be called peace. Ordinarily, she hated crying or showing powerful emotion in front of people. But this wasn't an ordinary day. And Cordero Cortez wasn't people. She never looked small or frail to me before. I don't know. I always saw her as indestructible, damn near immortal. She was bigger than life, Cord said, laying a hand on her shoulder. She was a fine woman, the best one I ever knew. What am I supposed to do now? You do what Kay would tell you to do, he answered. Pick yourself up, and you take each step as it each day as it comes. How am I supposed to do that? Her voice cracked, and her breath came short, and all feelings of the last 12 hours came to the surface. Hey, easy does it. Cord reached for her and coerced her hands behind her head to straighten her posture and try to keep hyperventilation at bay. That's it, in and out. How am I supposed to do anything? Ellie asked. She paused for a moment to follow Cord's instruction. I can't even breathe. You don't have to breathe right now. He pressed his lips to the crown of her head. Ellie knew Cord would hardly call himself affectionate, but that general rule applied to every soul on Earth except Elvina and Rel Karis. Now she supposed it was only herself. You just take it all minute by minute, enough to get through one day and then another, and before you know it, you'll turn around and see you've been living your life. How could she just leave me like this? She's a fine woman, he repeated. His voice was full of admiration, making it clear the sentiment was far more than just empty words. Saved my life for me, that's for damn sure. What's more, she raised you to be a woman who can handle anything, even this. Now on back to the keyboard. Happy birthday from all of us to you. We hope you have a happy birthday. May all your dreams come true. Do's come through. True. Someone's here. She heard the alert bell ring, triggered by an arrival outside. Have you seen or heard from Mother Renee yet? I had words with her earlier. She said she'd be here before sundown. Horde crossed to the window that was also clad in black. Uh-oh. Hey, Elv. Your father is here. It looked like he's with your aunt and brothers. Well, we knew this was coming, didn't we? She said dully, eyes not leaving the deathbed. Wish we'd had more time with her alone. True. I'm a little surprised your Aunt Em wasn't here already, giving us all the headache before the others got off the train. Cord turned away from the window, dismissing whatever other less than kind words he had for the Karras family. Do you want me to stall them? No, I have to deal with them eventually, right? Her voice was as weak as her shaking legs as she stood. Thanks for being here, Cord. Will you stay up here with her? At least until we hear from the Caligo? Of course, kiddo. Did she really want to face the rest of the family? Not in the least. She had 100 other, more important things to concern herself with. There were preparations that needed to be made, Kay's wishes to be discovered and carried out. Heaven and earth. She needed solid time to meditate and come to her mind again. But no, of course, the Karras family as a group were in the habit of demanding acknowledgement, always when it was most inconvenient. And the longer they were put off, the more disagreeable they fashioned themselves to be. Thanks for this one, Gran. She spoke to the ceiling a little uncharitably as she approached the foyer. Kay was the only person Ellie had ever seen to manage them successfully. Her father, Kingsley, and Aunt Emmeline would have to be placated. Her brothers, Aaron and Elum, wined, dined, and definitely kept from Corb's gun shop with the ranch's prized barn. Losing the family matriarch meant Hollow Point was about to be more populated than it had been in years. Your father and aunt and brothers are here, Ellie. Jake nodded to her. The horseman led the guests into the sitting room. Do you need anything else? Or you, Mr. Kinsley, Miss M. Mr. Karras and Mrs. Moore, if you please, Kingsley turned to Jake, projecting for all to see that he thought the foreman was hardly worth his notice. And my daughter, Miss Karras. No, Ellie cut her father off before he could continue in his condescension. No thanks, Jake. Could you do me a favor for Smoke, though? Would you make sure she's near Duke's stall in the barn? It's been a long time since she was around any other Mancora, let alone her grandsire. Sure thing, Miss Karras. Jake turned quickly, vanishing through the door. Ellie could tell by his step that he was relieved to get back to his barn. Do you have to be like that all the time? She glared at Kingsley. This is a shock to everyone. They're grieving as much as we are. This is a family matter, Elvina. Aunt Emmeline narrowed her eyes disapprovingly. It should remain within the family, a lesson that Mother would have been wise to impart on you during your upbringing here, young lady. She taught me what was important to know. Trust me in that, Aunt Emmy. Ellie knew this was a sign of the deplorable treatment that was to be expected in the days to come. I'm sure the guest room are ready if you want to rest and prepare for dinner. Has the Caligo arrived yet? Cord, said Mother Renee, should be here soon. That was one thing out of her control, and welcome for all that. The death of a respected elder would be a territory for the head of the local Caligo of Wraiths. Mother Renee, besides being the oldest Banshee Wraith within 20-mile radius of the town of Palem, and head mother of the Calico House, had been a close trusted friend of Kay Rel, for decades, not to mention kin to Kay's own late son, Soulshare. She'll let us know when it's safe to move Gran's body in the proper time for the release ceremony. And we know better than to go messing with Wraith's business, Pa. Aaron lounged back against the sofa. Tradition says once a soul leaves a body, it's in their hands, not ours. Thought we were done having having to kowtow to old crones once Gran moved on. Ellum smirked. Of the 3 Karras siblings, Kingsley had molded his firstborn son in the most his own image. Kingsley had molded his firstborn son the most in his own image? These were the 2 brothers with whom Ellie shared blood, and she could not be more sorry or ashamed. Seems when one decrepit tree falls, there's always more to take its place. Pro writing aid didn't catch that. Sometimes, slips through the cracks. Nothing's perfect. You just described how a force stands the test of time, young Miss Karras. Authoritative voice rang out as a petite, lean, cowled figure walked through the door. Hi, Mother Renee removed her travel shawl. So, I kind of like the way that you keep, every time you bring her up, you add a title. You're making her more and more important and getting closer and closer to, like, the official head title. And I like that. I like that a lot. Because it kind of shows how the characters think of their station. Callie, you can't just read me now without telling me. And that's really rude to do when you haven't even posted the story yet, because I tried to find it. Where is the story? Or is it chapter 17, which I've already read? So I'm confused why you would do that, Callie. And you didn't even say... It's mostly who is speaking about or to her and how casual they are with her. Yeah. But it's kind of like you've built it up and now you can do whatever you want with it, right? Like you've showed all the sides of it. Now you can have them call her whatever you want and it won't feel weird. High Mother Renee removed her travel shawl, because this is her perspective, right? Like, Renee's perspective, right? She's the High Mother Renee. She is ringing this authority with her, right? And she's demanding the name with that authority. Removed her travel shawl, handing it to Ellie with a small private smile. High Mother is the official title. Yeah, so she would hold that of herself. So if you were presenting it in her perspective as her character, it would be, that would be how she sees herself, because she would see herself at the highest, most formal station, because she holds that station, right? And that shows a lot about the character too, how they view themselves and what they view of their station. Whereas it seems the main character doesn't give really too much of a shit about station. Then rounded on her disrespectful audience. Her pitch black eyes matched the taloned obsidian brooch keeping her cowl in place. A white semi-translucent secured with silver covering what Ellie knew to be equally pure white hair. A white semi-translucent what? Is this referring to the brooch? Veil. Okay. Secured with silver covered. With silver covered. With silver. Okay, I think there needs to be a comma there. So, a white semi-transparent veil secured with silver covered what Ellie knew to be equally pure white hair. I think that flows much better. I'm done. I'm gonna need to find the Nedwin missing the D. Just, Sean, Control F N-E-W-I-N. And then it'll bring you directly to it, and then you just add the D. Editing tips and tricks to save your life. That's what it's supposed to be. Well, I'm glad I hope it is now. Gran had told her Banshee reached the age or office. I mean, this is what I would say, Countrygirl, are the signs of a rushed ending.
Cripple, 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 retard, retard.
Smokey, you motherfucker. Oh my god. Okay. Pitch black eyes match the talon obsidian brooch, keeping her cowl in place. A white semi-translucent veil secured with silver covered what Ellie knew to be equally white hair. Gran had told her Banshee... what it didn't reach? Gran had told her... This is like, is this supposed to be the Banshee? A Banshee? When? Is it supposed to be when a Banshee reached the age or office of a High Mother with any pigment left in her hair? This sentence, Banshee rarely reached the age or office. Gran had told her Banshees, or I guess that's plural, right? So, okay. Gran told her Banshee rarely reached the age or office of a High Mother with any pigment left in her hair. Assuming, of course, you wish your family to remain prosperous, I suggest you take the lesson to heart. Okay, perfect. But yeah, those are usually signs of a rushed ending. But don't worry about it. It's completely normal. And it didn't have any impact on the story. That's what's important. At least it didn't feel like it had any impact on the story.